Calaroga Shark Media.
Man, Johnny Mac, you think you could do something a little upbeat? The back half of Thursday's podcast where you talked about Jerry Lewis' film The Day the Clown Cried and the Nazi stuff in there, that was a little heavy, Johnny Mac. What are you doing? Hey, listener, you think you got it bad? I'm recording Thursday and Friday back to back because I got some stuff going on in my life and I had a pre-tape. I just told that story in my world 90 seconds ago. I'm still feeling it, but it is hot take time. Here's a hot take. I didn't come up with this hot take, but I will read you a hot take. The hot take is Joe Rogan is too powerful in the comedy world. Oh no. Chris Beck wrote for Splice today. The leadoff sentence, the comedians he promotes are as annoying as a midnight car alarm. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're going to come for Joe Rogan here. Let's see what Chris Beck has to say. In January, comedian Cat Williams stirred up the comedy world, blah, 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 for some truth-telling. Joe got 6 comedians that have never been funny that he just wants to push out, said Cat Williams. Williams didn't identify the comedians. Chris Beck has speculated that those comedians are Brendan Schaub, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Andrew Schultz, Ari Shafir, and Brian Callen. Beck writes Brendan Schaub has appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience 91 times. Still, he's merely a filler guest who gets the call so often because he's Rogan's buddy. And Rogan's loyal to his pals, however uninteresting that may be. You know, time out. Mike from the Letterman podcast and I, we've been talking about doing something semi-regular, and it's not like, oh, I have nothing to talk about, let me just bug Mike from the Letterman podcast. We just really get along and like talking about stuff. The only reason we haven't done it yet is because of scheduling. But like, I have no problem with Joe Rogan going, here's a reliable guest that I like talking to. That's what you do. Chris Beck writes, Schaub's comedy special Gringo Poppy, filmed in Dallas, I have not seen it, is the least funny event to happen in that town since the Kennedy assassination. Rogan won't even let Schaub appear at the mothership. Bert Kreischer, with 37 Joe Rogan Experience appearances, is another member of Rogan's Goon Squad. Although unlike Schaub, he's had financial success as a comedian. He had an adventure show on the Travel Channel and a low-rated comedy special on Showtime when Rogan called him up and told him to quit TV because he was a storyteller who should be telling stories on stage. Yeah. Wasn't that pretty good advice? Hey, Bert Kreischer, you know that story you have about the machine? It's a good story. You should tell it. That's great advice from Joe Rogan. It made the dude's career, and it's a good bit, and the movie was fine. Kreischer's signature move is to take his shirt off, exposing his obese torso. He does this during his act and even while sitting on a couch on a podcast. Why? It's a look at me move from a guy who craves attention like all of Rogan's squad does. Dude. Do you think there's a single stand-up comedian who doesn't crave attention? Well, dude, that's why they're up there. I work with a lot of comedians. They're all at least a little crazy. When Kreischer appeared on Tony Hinchcliffe's popular comedy show Kill Tony, New York comic Jim Norton cracked a funny ad-lib. Instead of letting Norton take all the well-deserved applause from the audience, Kreischer doffed his shirt so he could get in on the action. Dude, come on, man. All right, continuing, Tom Segura has appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience 41 times. He was funny when he was chubby, but after he hired a personal trainer and buffed up, the laugh started to go away of his excess pounds. All right, so Bert Kreischer's too fat, Tom Segura is too fit. His act is now like listening to your boring friend who won't stop talking about the funny things his kids do. It's the laziest form of comedy. No, it's not the laziest form of comedy. The laziest form of comedy is just getting up and saying something vulgar for vulgar's sake. I used to illustrate this and teach it to my college classes. And I used to just out of nowhere go, and then I punched her in the place you probably shouldn't punch a woman. Dave Chappelle has used a similar joke. I heard Chappelle do it after I pointed this out. Anyway, when I used to randomly say, and then I punched her in the, I would get laughs, and then I would point out to this class, I didn't even tell a joke there. That's the laziest form of comedy. And again, I'm not a comedian. I'm just illustrating. I could say something really vulgar or really outrageous and get a chuckle out of you. It doesn't make for good comedy. Back to the article. Last year, when an airport employee made Tom Segura check his bag, he had a 2-day meltdown, beginning with his tweet, "Dumb C-word from airlines made me gate check my bag so she can feel a little power that she has in her life. I get it. You win this round, C-word." When this repulsive prima donna-like range elicited a bunch of negative responses from his fans, Segura dug deeper, tweeting, "All the poors and losers have the same response. Oh, you were inconvenienced. Well, you should accept it." Segura's let his money go to his head. Continuing the article, Andrew Schultz is another Rogan regular who got some fame, began to buy the hype. Schultz is annoying before he opens his mouth because of the bizarre Hitler-esque haircut he sported lately. Okay, so now we're going to judge people on their looks. Maybe you don't like his stylized haircut. Doesn't mean he's not funny. It's the equivalent of Bert Kreischer's gross shirtless look as an attention-grabbing device. I almost slipped into Triumph there again. Should I do that bit again? Schultz once charged his fans for his latest comedy special and then put it on Netflix a month later. That happens a lot, dude. Brian Callen has appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience 86 times. Callen's not as annoying as the rest of Rogan's boys, but he's hardly worth mentioning. He's made 4 comedy specials, but hasn't been able to sell any to a streaming service. Ari Shafir has 67 Joe Rogan Experience appearances, where he has to behave, but when he appears on Kill Tony, he's known for pulling his testicles out. He's violent, too. Comedian Bobby Lee once invited some of his Mad TV buddies to LA's Comedy Store for a set. Shafir's girlfriend was there, met with one of Lee's friends, and was soon dating him. Shafir blamed Lee and physically assaulted him on 3 different occasions. I've never heard that story. I haven't fact-checked it, but one should not physically assault anyone. Now, I have Googled here Shafir assault Lee, and there are several YouTubes, TikToks, Reddits, nothing from anything that I would consider a major news source. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't know what's true or not. Again, I am reading from an article in Splice Today under the headline, Joe Rogan is too powerful in the comedy world. Shafir's comic crutch is trying to be edgy even though he's 50. Can you not be edgy at 50? George Carlin was pretty edgy. On the day of Kobe Bryant's death, Shafir wrote on Twitter, Kobe Bryant died 23 years too late today. He got away with rape because of all the Hollywood liberals who attack comedy. Enjoy rooting for the Lakers more than they dislike rape. I hate the Lakers. What a great day. That caused an internet firestorm about a bad joke, but there's no joke there. It's a straight troll. Reasonably fair. There were some aspects to Kobe Bryant's biography that I'm not going to litigate here, but on that particular day, that did feel a little too soon. I remember that day. Anyway, interesting article there and a Joe Rogan hot take. My take, Joe Rogan has been very good for stand-up comedy. Comedy comes in many forms. You might like the Austin scene. You might like the New York brick walls smoking cigarette guys. You might like the LA alt scene. It's all good. Deon Cole's got a new special coming to Netflix. It is called OK Mister. In it, Deon Cole recalls the telltale signs of aging, bedroom mishaps, dating deal breakers, and more. Let's listen to a bit of the trailer. I'm cutting a little bit early here. He's got one more punchline after I cut, but it's a little naughty.
When black people cheat, like we dip off with somebody else, you know, we like to go to white establishments. Because we know ain't no black people there to see us. I was with this girl one day. She was like, why you got me at this medieval castle?
Deon Cole, OK Mister, filmed back in May in L.A. Part of the Netflix is a Joke Festival. OK Mister on Netflix, September 17th. I've mentioned this before, but they're bringing back Chris Rock's Everybody Still Hates Chris. This time it's animated. It will be on Comedy Central. We now have a date, September 25th at 10 p.m. I have no idea why we're making this. Love you, Chris Rock, but I don't think anybody really cared about the show the first time. But now it's an animated series. Okay, fine. In Everybody Still Hates Chris, Chris Rock narrates stories inspired by his experience growing up as a skinny nerd in a working-class family in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. During the 80s, Terry Crews plays Dad. Tim Johnson Jr. plays young Chris, a nerd who wants to be cool, but he's outshined by his younger brother, tortured by his little sister, and foiled by his cheapskate dad. All right, let's do some political stuff from both sides. Kumail Nanjiani says he's been in touch with the Harris Walls campaign about getting involved with the election. Kumail says, I'm going to make videos to get people to register to vote. I might make some appearances later. I think it's really important everybody register to vote, and everybody does vote. Whoever you vote for, that's on you, but you got to vote. Please register to vote. Kumail says, it's really unbelievable how I was feeling a month and a half ago and how I'm feeling now. It's really inspiring. This has given me faith in humanity. I just feel lighter and happier. I'm going to say I'm fighting to stay hopeful and not get too optimistic or confident. There's still a lot of work to do. Tim Dillon made a lot of fun of Kamala Harris. On his podcast, Tim said, Kamala Harris is running on, I'm not even kidding, the word joy. Joy, be happy. It has nothing to do with healthcare. She said, we're going to stop the food from being expensive, fatty. You're going to be able to eat for less. That's what Kamala's platform is. She wants to put price controls on the food. Her platform right now, the only policy we know about is essentially a sign in a Vegas restaurant. Eat for less. That's all she said. She's going to let these fatty boom baddies into the grocery store. From the Moscow Times, they will have a new show about Joe Biden. This one is called Goodbye. In Goodbye, the character Joe Biden travels to Russia incognito to find out why his sanctions aren't working against Russians. During the visit, Joe Biden loses his passport and finds himself trapped in Russia. He's then forced to live in a Soviet-era apartment block and work as an English teacher to save money so he can buy a new passport for his return home. Meanwhile, CIA agents whisk away Russian pensioner Ivanovich, who looks just like Biden, to the United States. Yes, it's a body swap comedy. It won't be out until 2025, though. That's too late, guys. No one's going to care about this a year. You got to get this out next week. Russian actor Dmitry Juzev, who's best known for his role as Cosmos in the hit gangster series Brigada, will play Joe Biden. Photos taken during the production show Dmitry dressed up in a silver gray wig and wearing pearly white dentures. He was quoted in the press release as saying, "I'm really curious to see what will come of our bold experiment and whether the audience will be able to recognize me and Biden and me. Nevertheless, I can guarantee it will be a kind, lifelike, and funny story." And that is your comedy news for today. This weekend will be normal episodes. I've got plenty. Been working on it for some time. I hate producers that wake up and go, "Oh my God, it's Labor Day weekend. I don't have anything. We should take the week off." I plan. So I've got shows for you, and I'll meet you back here tomorrow. See you there.